And before I go on, please do you want to introduce yourself to everyone, because I understand that not everyone might be familiar with you and your work. And then I want to jump straight into what I have in mind and what I had in mind when I wanted to have this conversation with you.
You know what? Before I introduce myself, I want to actually have an opening that was actually what ignited by a conversation we first had when we first met. And I was having this conversation today with another apostle. And the conversation went something like this. When you were raised to believe that you're small, your greatness will shock you when it finally manifests itself. And your small mind will not be big enough to contain the greatness that God has placed inside of you. That if you don't rise to your greatness by faith, your small mind would shrink you to fit into your small mind. So when I say to you, you are great and you will rise to greater heights, I say it with that in mind. I know you were joking, but you know me, I'm not a very good joker. I go straight into business.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
You know?
I know, I heard you. I heard you.
And the thought that I had in mind was this simple story. You know, in The Lion King, there's that lion cub that loses his father. I forget his name. And then his uncle betrays him. But because of there was nobody there to mirror to him how great he is, he finds himself friends with monkeys, with warthogs. And when he grows up, instead of being out there catching big game, he's out there eating bugs.
And he's singing. A lion
And
is
he's
singing.
singing. Simba, there you go. And he's singing. And he lives in this massive contradiction where he knows that he is destined for great things, but he was being conditioned so much to be so small that he kept on stopping himself from being the great, powerful, impactful lion that he was. So what I love about the book that you wrote, my brother, is that it reminds us that there is great favor on our lives that is specifically bestowed upon us for the greatness that God has called us to be, you know, and it is for us to rise to those great places to fully exploit the great favor that God has placed in our lives to live the great life for his great glory.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. No, I'm hearing you. I'm hearing you, you know. And some of them are sharing, some of them are commenting right now because just yesterday, last night, we were speaking on increasing your inner capacity. And in talking about that, I mentioned this experience that I had at a lion park. It's somewhat of a zoo. And we were seeing different types of wildcats. And of course, the star of the show is the lion, who is behind this fence, being fed full chicken, being fed meat that was butchered somewhere, and they didn't kill it themselves. And I remember at the time I asked the guide who was leading us through and just giving us these fun facts about the different animals there. I asked him, I said, hey man, tell me quickly, what did you mean earlier? Because he had mentioned earlier, he said, interesting facts about lions. Lions can jump as high as 3 meters tall. Now I'm looking at this fence that's between us and the lion, and I'm saying to him, my man, I'm pretty sure this lion can jump. If you say 3 meters, he can jump over this. So what is keeping him back from jumping? Who's going to stop him? What are you guys going to do if he jumps over this fence? And he then explained to me that there's no way that any of those lions, there was 3 or 4 lions. He said there's no way that any of them could jump over because they have, since they were cubs, they grew up in captivity. They've never been out in the wild. So yes, they still have lion in them, but because they grew up in captivity, all they know is this fence. They know this fence as a way to hold them back. And there's no way that if the lion truly wanted, the fence could stop them. They would rip through that fence. I mean, I'm not talking about electric fence, steel fence. No, I'm talking about the wire one. And so I always recall that moment when he says, listen, if you take this lion to the wild, in no time, he will immediately snap into his instincts and he will be in no time catching big game. So when you say that, it reminds me as well of the conversation that we had, as you mentioned in the beginning, the conversation that we had, and I will always thank you for this conversation from end of 2023. It was end of 2023. It was the first day that I met you. And you had seen some of my stuff online, and then you mentioned to me, you said something that I don't even know if you remember, but you were telling me that my progress is running ahead of my mentality, and I need my mentality to catch up. My mindset needs to catch up to my growth. And every time I look back at that, I realize it was so important because you cannot maintain. It's just like the lotto winner. You cannot maintain whatever increase if your mindset does not catch up as quickly as possible. So I do appreciate that. I appreciate this opening that you have for us, and I appreciate this reminder because it's one that we need every now and then. Because funny enough, I've grown a lot more since that last time that we spoke. But guess what? There is always a chance, there's always an opportunity and a temptation to settle, right? There is always an opportunity to settle. And when that happens, if you make the mistake of comparing yourself to yourself 5 years ago, you'll think you're growing, but you're not growing. You grew back then, and then you stopped growing. So right now, you're comfortable, you've stagnated. So I do appreciate that, my brother. I do appreciate that.
No, man. Look, I mean, and the thing is that in terms of the topic that you've called me in, and I think I'd like to introduce it in this way. You know, when you don't walk in that greatness, and then and here, remember something. God's favor is without God ever changing his mind. God's gifts are without God ever changing his mind. Let's hold it right there. Which basically means that God has already set out a path, has already set out helpmates, has already set out places, has already set out opportunities, has already set out a kingdom, a path in the kingdom there where you're going to walk. Now stay with me for a second, all right? And then when you walk into these places, the atmosphere that you walk into knows that you are a lion, but you're feeling like a lamb. You're walking in there like the lion that was raised in captivity, you know, and you have this experience where people are always marveling at at the greatness that they are supposed to hear from, to receive from you. They relate to you in that way. I always make this example. I would get phone calls and people would say to me, "Oh, you're still in the country?" And people would say to me, "Oh, but you're so busy, man. You're so big." And in the meantime, I was thinking, dude, I just spent an entire 8 hours online doing nothing. What do you mean I'm so busy? You know? And people would say all of these things in terms of what they perceive, the line they see, the majesty that's in the greatness that God has placed in you. But because you don't live and operate in that, you almost want to hide. And there comes a time where instead of walking confidently in the kingdom with the greatness that God has placed inside of you, you withdraw and you want to hide. You don't want to see friends. And the challenge that happens, that comes with that is the following. The destiny helpers, the people that God has placed inside of you, there's a point where they become frustrated with the fact that you're walking in smallness and they start to pull away from you. They start to move. And the thing about destiny helpers is that they are there to help you. Because it is in helping you that they themselves will find their greatness. Because their greatness is intricately connected to your becoming. And if you don't become, they don't become, and they become frustrated. And for those of you who are married, if, especially for a husband, if that is your wife is gonna get frustrated of living off the crumbs of your smallness, knowing full well and perceiving full well that God has placed inside of you a greatness that is supposed to create a life of greatness, of luxury, of comfort. And there's a point, by the way, you husbands out there, where she starts to get so frustrated with you that she starts to resent you. And then eventually she gets bitter, and then eventually she has contempt for you and disrespects you. It's not because she's a disrespectful woman. It's that she believed in your greatness, but you never came around with it.
Wow.
Great relationships will challenge you to rise to the occasion, but if you don't have the faith, the humility, the trust, the belief, the assurance to become that great, they're going to frustrate you. And you're going to find somehow, yes,
sir. Yes, sir. I was going to let you finish your thought, but I wanted to ask something on that.
yes,
Right. Here's the thing. So you're saying this to me. Someone else is, some self-love guru is telling me, no, you've got to find somebody who loves you for you. If they don't love you in your smallness, at your worst, then they don't deserve you. Right? Somebody will look at you, because there is a distinction here, right? There's a distinction here where you mention the reality of people becoming frustrated at the fact that they invested in a place where there is no return. And that's very important. Because we invest in people. When we give ourselves to people, we are investing in them to say, listen, I believe in you. I believe in you. And some people might say, don't marry potential. But the truth is, I believe in you. Whether it is marriage, whether it is friendship, whether it is business partnership, it is an investment in you. People are investing in your current self in hopes that there is a return of some sort in the future. It is good for you. It is good for them. So I want you to speak to me if I'm saying to you, no, but she's got to love me for me. Love me for me. It's not about what I become. Just love me for me.
yeah.
What does that mean?
I'll say this to you. The only person who loves you for you is God and your mother.
Talk to us.
Your mother and God are the only people in the world who love you for you. Your father does not love you for you. Especially as a man. Hold on a second.
Talk.
God knows exactly what he has put inside of you, and he loves you for you. Loves you for you. Your mother carried you and connected with you for the whole 9 months, and you were a life that is inside of her, and she experienced you in a way that your father never will. So that's why your mother is the only person in the world that's going to love you for you. Your father and all of us are going to love you for who you become. Because who you become has a lot more to do with where are we going together. As you grow, you are becoming. And by the way, even God himself, this is, he's like, oh, but where's he getting this? It's in the Bible. It's in, I think, let me just grab my Bible here. It's in the book of Ephesians, where he says that we, through love, we must grow into the fullness of him.
Yep.
Speaking the truth in love, that we must grow into the fullness of Christ. There is a becoming that is happening, a transformation that is happening, that as you transform and you fully form in the way that God wants you to be, that process itself is a journey of love. And when you don't become who you are as we are growing together, as it is one of the number one purposes of love, by the way, Poloko, number one purpose of love is to help you to grow, is to create a space for you to grow so that you can become. That's why love gets frustrated when you don't grow. The worst thing you can ever do to frustrate love is to be stagnant and to regress.
Yes.
Because love has a purpose. Love is not just there for you to experience some feeling inside of you and some kind of pleasure. At the end of the day, God didn't just bring us here to have a good time. God has a kingdom that he's building. And for us to be part of that kingdom, there is a call on our lives. And with that call comes gifts that he's put inside of us. 1 Corinthians chapter 12, verse 11, there's a measure of gifts that God has placed inside of us. In Romans chapter 12, verse 3, there's a measure of grace that God has placed inside of us for our faith. In John chapter 3, verse 36, inside of us is the Spirit in measure. That is why it is foolishness in 2 Corinthians chapter 12, verse 10, to compare yourself with others, because your measure and my measure are completely different, because they are for different purposes. And when we are growing together, we are becoming. It is very difficult to how can I say, to enjoy love, to have an incredible godly love experience where there is no growth. And true love, the purpose, one of the most important objectives of love is for us to grow. And so when you are not growing, the person that loves you will be frustrated by your lack of growth. That is why that wife will sit on your neck and will poke you and agitate you. As long as she realizes that you are not living in your potential. And the same thing applies also with the man that loves you. He will not allow you to die only to be buried 60 years later.
Oh, okay. Now let me ask my question. You just dropped that last line on me and threw me off. Okay. So here's the question. And I believe that in this, you can give us some insight that spans across different relationships in our lives. Friendships, a business partnership, a marriage, whatever. My question now is, because I believe there is the wrong way. So what is the right way to speak to that person, that partner, that friend, that the spouse who you clearly see is not growing? They are not maturing. They are the same person that you met back then. Because of course, when you talk about this, you say a wife will sit on you, and what happens is the story becomes, she's nagging. But there could have been a better way for her to say, my love, when I met you 6 years ago, you had these dreams. What happened to the dreams? Where are we going? What's going on? Why are we not any closer to those dreams? So that's my question. That's my question to you right now. My question to you is, what is the appropriate way to go about that?
The most important, the appropriate way, first of all, is that encouragement, right? Encouragement. Encouragement is speaking life into a person's potential. What did I say? Encouragement is speaking life into a person's potential. You can do it. You have the ability to do it. Number two, it is constructive. And constructive is speak into a person who you want them to be. You are hardworking. You are wise.
Yes.
You are able. Words have power. Words have life. Words begin to build, and they are seeds that produce life into a person. Criticism also breathes a different kind of life form, and there's a life form that eventually destroys a person. Criticism is not necessarily there to build. Being constructive and being an edifier, being encouraging, that is what is helpful. If you are speaking to a person in frustration, in irritation, and you find it very difficult to see potential, now you're being judgmental all the time, that is not a very helpful way to do that. So it's incumbent upon those around you and those who are with you that want to speak that into a person to be mindful of. Don't start to allow frustration to be a life force that you are pushing a person and you're pushing a person's potential. So there's that, and here's the thing about it. When you start to see that people that used to believe in you are starting to speak to you in frustration, it is a message. It's a signal. It is saying to you, you are not rising to the occasion of your greatness. You are not rising to the occasion, and those people are the ones that you want to have around you.
Yes.
And as I was saying to you, destiny helpers eventually gets frustrated of supporting you.
Yes.
They're not there to support you. They're there to help you to the next stage. But when you are stuck at this stage. I'll give you a simple example. There was a certain person that felt very strongly that they really want to help me out. Right, and this person is he's dropping a lot of money, dropping a lot of. In fact, the business that a lot of the business that I have today has been through this particular, person that got into my life as part of a season of favor in my life. But I started becoming so settled and so comfortable in that relationship that instead of taking the help to keep going and to rise and to go to the next level, I started seeing that more as a support. And it began to put a strain in our relationship and a frustration in our relationship and an irritation. And I realized that, why is it that I haven't gone to the place that the help is supposed to go to do? And the destiny helper's capacity was done. Their season in my life was done. And they were feeling guilty and frustrated that I haven't done what I said and what they believe that I can be able to do.
And I think it's important to remind someone here tonight that there is, I always talk about how opportunities are time sensitive. And I think some of those relationships that come as an opportunity to launch you to your next season, they are also time sensitive. And so if you are an individual who gets comfortable in that, because I know what you're talking about. I know what it's like to receive the help of a destiny helper and then get comfortable in that help and settle from the perspective of, God, thank you for sending someone to take care of me, right? And they were not meant to come and take care of you.
No.
They were meant to be midwives, so to speak, right? But you want to live the rest of your life relying on a midwife. but a midwife is there for a limited time. And if the thing that you were supposed to give birth to dies right there while they watch, their job is done. They have to move on. And there's a divine side of this, which is that it is God who sends these people. And I've seen it personally, where it cannot be explained how why did you choose me? Why did you choose me out of all people? And this person just met you. They have other people in their lives that they could be helping in the same way. But there is a time limit on that. God has assigned them to your assignment for this season. Whether they come in the capacity of mentorship, of financial investment, making available whatever resources to you, it is in your best interest to grow as quickly as you can using those relationships. It is in your best interest to take that. And I like to say this: I have committed myself, and I have made this vow before God. And it came after making some mistakes with relationships, that my life will be fertile ground. My whole entire life. It doesn't matter who comes into my life to sow into my life, they will see a return. Whether it is directly in their lives, whether it is indirectly some other way, but my life will be fertile ground. Anyone who sows into this life, anyone who sows into any part of my life will see growth. They will see a return. Even if they just stood at a distance and watched me grow, they would not regret. I do not want anyone else to regret investing in me, whether it be their time, their resources, their expertise. I don't want anyone to ever regret investing in me. So I appreciate you saying that. I really appreciate you saying that. And we're having a good time. I'm telling you, we're having a good time, and I'm concerned about the time so far, right? Because so please, whenever it is, you can stop me whenever it is that you'd like to stop me, because I want to ask a follow-up question to this last question that I asked. So
let me say this to you. Let me hold on that question for me, because you triggered something I think that's very important that I want to say. I want to say the following. Typically, as we walk in the journey with God and God puts destiny helpers, there's a point where we are in a survival stage. And then it is in our struggle to get out of that destiny helpers to come and they bring us onto the stable ground. So that we can be stable.
Yes.
And that is supposed to allow us to become stable so we can be on our own 2 feet. But if you make a mistake of stabilizing on the destiny helper, on the stable ground that they've put you on, and not on your own 2 feet, when your season of thriving comes and they leave, it'll be so dry. Because when you're supposed to stabilize to get to a thriving stage so that you can multiply what has been given. And when you multiply what has been given, there's enough for you and yours. But from the stable place, you're supposed to rise to the level where you can be able to reach what is in the thriving stage. But when the destiny helper leaves, because you stabilize on top of them, you drop to a level.
Yes.
When you get to that level, those who thought that you had left the level are surprised why you're back. And they will mock you. And they will be shocked. So don't stabilize on the shoulders of a destiny helper.
You're talking.
That's a mistake. Get on the shoulders of the destiny helper to grow, to get to the level of a thriving stage, so that there'll be enough for you and yours.
Absolutely.
That is the parable of talents.
Absolutely.
Please.
Oh man. So okay, sorry. That also triggered something else that I often think about. What you described was the journey of the Israelites out of Egypt. That's what you just described, which that survival mode that you're talking about, the Israelites had three different stages. They had the first stage was deliverance, the second stage was development, and the third stage was dominion. So coming out of Egypt, that's deliverance. And in the deliverance stage, you get whatever it is that you need for your sustenance to take care of you. You need water, it comes out of a rock. You need food, it falls out of heaven. You need protection, God himself will deal with your enemies on your behalf. Right? He will protect you. He will part the Red Sea before you. He will swallow up your enemies. That is the deliverance phase. And then you have the development, which is in the wilderness now, where you're supposed to be getting rid of old mindsets, where you're supposed to be getting rid of the thinking that you had back when you were a slave and oppressed. You're supposed to be growing. You're supposed to be using, by the way, you're supposed to be using the fact that you have manna and you don't have to worry about food. That has to be the stage where you work to develop yourself. Get to a place where you can trust God. Get to a place where you grow in your faith, where you increase your capacity. Because after the development comes the dominion, which is when we now cross the Jordan and we go into the promised land and we take the promised land. But most people will not get to the dominion phase because, unfortunately, like the Israelites, many of us die right there in the deliverance phase. Our prayers are deliverance focused. It's very scary. I think yesterday or the day before, I was speaking about how we need to start praying expansion prayers instead of maintenance prayers, because most people just want to, God, just help me maintain where I am. Help me just be good where I am. God, help me just be good. But what needs to be happening is that you need to realize that your time in this deliverance phase is limited. Your development is time sensitive as well. And from there, it's time for you to take dominion. It is time for you to go into the promised land and occupy the promise that was made to you. But if, like you were saying, you decide to lean on the shoulders of these destiny helpers and you decide to just stay there, oh, you're in trouble. You are in trouble. They will get tired. They will move on. And, when that happens, if you are somebody like that, because I know someone is here tonight and you say, you know what, I've made the mistake. Just like me, I've made the mistake. And I asked God for mercy. I asked God for restoration. And he was able to send more people to this assignment. And now I know better. Now I understand better. But make no mistake, I had to learn from that painful lesson of seeing people walk away because they tried, man. They tried. And, we got to move on. So going back to that conversation of, so I asked you, how do you communicate to someone in your life, that person that you have a relationship with, whatever kind of relationship, to say, listen, there's no growth here. We're stuck. And you spoke to us a little bit about that, but I like to be very practical. So I want you to now speak to the person who is frustrated by the how of their spouse or their friends or their family members in communicating this message. And I want you to speak to them because they are frustrated and saying, it's the way they say it. It's the fact that they are nagging. It's the way they throw insults instead of just telling me and giving me this constructive criticism. Because I don't want a victim mentality to become the reason why people don't grow, saying, but people could have just communicated it better. Yes, they could have communicated it better. But you are here tonight. You are on this live stream. You are listening to Mr. Jabu Zwane. You are receiving these insights. And now you're starting to realize, oh, that's why my wife has been so bitter. That's why my husband has been so frustrated with me. That's why my family has been on my case. I don't like the way they're going about it, but I can kind of see why. I can see how for many years of my life, I've just been the one day kind of guy. One day,
Yeah.
one day, one day. So what I'm asking is, I want you to speak to that person who is at that place where they're starting to see it in themselves, but they're still frustrated by how the people around them have been communicating it, because not everyone knows how to communicate it properly.
Look, I mean, I like that question so much. It's not even funny. It's a beautiful, beautiful question, and it really comes from a very good place. Now, the one thing I'd say is this: it's not how the people are talking to you, but it is how you see yourself. Why is it so hard for you to see what they're saying about you? Why is it so hard for you to see? And that's what you got to talk. Yeah, that's what you have to look into. And I know I'll explain to you the reasons why it was hard for me to see it. I was raised in smallness. So the question that you got to ask yourself is that in your upbringing, in your coming up, how did you see yourself? Were you ever given the space to see yourself? And, Poloko, when you were shown a mirror in front of you in terms of who you are, what was shown to you? What was said to you? Who did they say you were? Who did they say you are not? What did poverty tell you? Who did poverty tell you you are? What did your father abandoning you tell you are? Your mother not loving you tell you are? Your cousins who were better off than you, with uncles that are richer than you, what did that tell you that you are and you are not? Because therein lies your answer. If what was told to you was that your greatness is to be exploited and given to those who are greater than you, is that the reason why you are giving your greatness for free and you are having a hard time to realize that it is your greatness that is going to bring you before the king so that you can have a table at the king's table, a seat at the king's table? That even when the king invites you, you're still saying, no, king, I'm not worthy. I'll sit at the bottom and I'll sit and I'll grab the crumbs, because you were conditioned to believe that you are not worthy to sit at the table with the king. Whenever you are told you're great, you're amazing, you are saying, no, but I'm not. And then, by the way, you Christians and your fake humility, do you know that actually humility is having the accurate estimation of who you are? That when you acknowledge your greatness, the God that's put inside of you, actually that is humility, because you are in full agreement with God's word. And when you keep on with this fake humility, you are actually dishonoring the greatness of God. That you are saying the image and the likeness that God has placed inside of you is inferior when you disagree with it. Do you realize that that's the reason why you're finding it so hard to have a Psalm 139 life as a Christian, Psalm 139 faith as a Christian, Psalm 139 ability and power? Have you ever read what Psalm 139 says about you? Have you ever read it? Do you understand what it says?
Let me just mention this. Let me just mention this quickly, because someone needs to hear what you just said, right? In my book, in Unlocking Favor with God and People, in day 24, it speaks about rewriting your belief system for favor. And halfway through, we talk about the hidden belief systems that sabotage favor, that must be exposed, that must be rewritten. And we talk about victimhood as one. The second one is scarcity thinking. The third one is the smallness complex. And then the fourth one is false humility. And this is a mindset that says, I don't need favor, I just want to serve. This might sound spiritual, but it's often rooted in fear. Real humility isn't thinking less of yourself, it's thinking of yourself rightly. Even Jesus grew in favor with God and man. If favor helped him fulfill his assignment, it will help you too. Refusing favor is not humility, it's hidden insecurity. Right? Refusing favor is not humility. And sometimes listen, guilty. It's me. This guy.
Yeah.
Oh no, money for what? I'm gonna get a crown in heaven. What are you talking about? You want no? You guys get paid for. No, that's not right. I just want to serve. Ah, you're talking to me. Go on.
And this is what you do. This is what you do with the fruits that God has given you. This is what you do with them.
Yeah.
Instead of eating the fruit and putting the seed back in the ground, you give the entire fruit away.
Yep.
You don't even eat it.
Yep. You're not lying.
And then you are upset that people have taken the fruit, they've taken the seed from your fruit, and they have made a garden out of it. And you're feeling like a fool because now you're going to their garden and you're begging for the fruit that comes from the seed that came from the fruit that you've given to them.
By the way, that's a whole nother conversation that I really want to have. I'm going to have it in one of these sessions because some of these people, it's December now. Oh, it's December now. You're about to see all kinds of mismanagement of that gift. Some of them are going to eat the seed, right? They're going to eat the seed with the fruit and be surprised when there's nothing. Some of them are going to give away that seed. They're going to throw it away. And like you said, be surprised when what? I'm going to write that down after this. When you see other people's gardens with that seed that you were supposed to plant, my friend, please go on, sir. Please go on.
Here's the statement that I had in my mind. And I actually wrote it down because I didn't want to stuff it up as it was coming through. Favor with people, especially when you serve in your value, especially when you serve in your greatness. You see, because your greatness will always be connected to serving people, to loving people. And when you are in a survival mind, by the way, you use people.
Oh,
You
yes,
relate
you
to
dangerous people, my brother.
dangerous
Dangerous.
people. You can
People
become a
who are
leech.
surviving, dangerous.
You can become a leech. You can become a beggar. You can become a
course.
thief. Right? You can become a swindler in your survival stage. And those relationships that are supposed to actually finally become favor. This is what happens when you live rightly in those relationships. When you use the help that has been given and then you plant the seed back into the ground and you make the garden out of it so that everybody else can be able to enjoy the garden. This is what happens. Those great relationships will announce your name in places where your presence cannot reach. They will lift you to places where your influence cannot reach. They will maximize your impact in kingdoms where your power cannot reach. They will multiply the fruit of your hands where you have not plowed. But what happens when you don't honor those relationships? Instead of the great relationship announcing your name in places where you have not reached, they will announce your lack of faith in places where you should have reached. In those places, they're going to announce your name differently, not as somebody that they must wait or they must bring to the place, but as somebody that must be locked out.
No, you're right.
They will stop your influence before it reaches where it's supposed to go. And instead of maximizing in your kingdom, they will minimize. Instead of multiplying the fruit, they will take the seed away from you. And that's what God said. He took the 1 talent from the one that buried the talent and gave it to the one that multiplied the talent.
Yeah.
But I know it's been depressing. Here's the hope. Now faith is. Now. Right now.
Yeah.
Faith is the substance of those things which are hoped for and the evidence of those things which are not seen. It is never too late with God. John 10:35. All gifts of God are without God. Is it Romans 10? I think no, John, yeah. Without God ever changing his mind. If God has said it, he will do it. And he never takes away that opportunity. Poloko, I started over at the age of 39. Started over 39. That's 7 years ago. When I was a pastor, having planted 3 churches, I was operating a lot in my smallness. Although my greatness was known, my name was being announced, Zambia, USA, all over the place. In the ministry, I was being announced as this up and coming leader that is going to do great and mighty things. And I'd show up in stages and I'll be there, and the favor of God will be with me. And I'll speak great and mighty things. Yes, Romans 11:29. I would speak great and mighty things in different places. I would speak them. But I was speaking them as God has given to me, but not living them out in faith.
Yes.
I was not living them out in faith. And I remember this, my pastor used to make this very funny joke with me, and he would say to me, you know what? One of the reasons why I don't like bringing you when I go to raise money for missions is that when people see you, they're not going to give us money. He used to say this all the time. He says, you communicate wealth and richness with your presence, with your being, that nobody will feel moved to give you anything because they would think that they don't have enough to give you what you deserve. Look, are you hearing what I'm saying to you?
I'm hearing you.
And then there you are crying. How come I'm not getting the 5 cents that the other guys are getting? You are crying for 5 cents, and people are saying there is an entire place that has got thousands and millions that's waiting for you to go and possess. But here you are fighting people for 5 cents, for 5 shillings there in Kenya, right? Here you are, you're fighting for these crumbs. And by the way, everybody else around you who knows that those 5 cents they deserve and that is them, they're going to hate you.
Yep.
And they will plot against you. Right? Because they know that you're not supposed to be here. You are there taking their food away from them, which is enough for them. It's crucial that we get this. And when we operate in the greatness, it's easier for us to then carry favor with people. And it is our greatness that is going to move those relationships of favor into relationships of currency. That they're no longer just in there, seasonal for you. And now, because of you have become, now they see that being with you, they have favor. Therefore, now they put themselves with you because they know that the favor of the Lord is with you, and they don't leave you anymore because they know God's favor is with you. That's what they said about David. That's what I said about many mighty men. That where we're going to go, you have God's favor. That's what they said about, with Ruth, God's favor.
Yep.
And now they will stay there and be there with you for a long haul. So favor with people, of course it is God-given, but make no mistake, the richness of those relationships, the longevity of that favor with those people, it is directly connected not only to your walk of faith, but also to your walk of faith and works. What do you do with that? As God leads you, as God continues to speak life into you and say, great and mighty things I have preserved for you. I know the plans that I have for you, the plans of prosperity. And prosperity by the way, is not for you only. And this is where the mistake that most people think. They think that prosperity is about just you driving that Lamborghini. No, prosperity is thriving. It's thriving. It is for you and for others. It is for your children's and the children's children to be
Yes.
generations that passes generations. It is also, it goes beyond your own reach, right? So crucial. And when we are not responsible with our growth, when we don't allow the work of God to do inside of us to redeem us from our past, to be transformed by the renewal of our minds and not to be conformed by the standards of this world. It's not just the standard, but also the way that the world works that says that your background determines your destiny. You know, like to rid yourself with those ways of thinking and to possess and to own who you have become. It is so crucial that those relationships of favor then becomes the relationships of sustenance, and they become the relationships of thriving. Right now, Poloko, you are in your thriving stage, and there are people who see that as much as their destiny helpers, now it's no longer being it. Now they have to find a home with you because they know God's favor is with you, and they know that they got to stay in the favor, because favor by association, blessing by association.
Absolutely.
You know,
Absolutely. Mr. Zwane, sir, you have been a blessing to us, and you always are. When you came on here, someone mentioned that when you were here, it was last year already. Crazy how time goes by. But when we had a live stream together and they saw you, you were incredibly helpful in transforming their walk. And I believe that here tonight, you've been a blessing to many. You've been a blessing to many, starting with myself. So thank you very much, sir. Thank you very much for giving us your time. Thank you very much for coming on here. And thanks for always answering my call. Thanks for always answering my call, always thinking about me. We definitely still owe that. We still owe one another that sit down, that coffee. But I do appreciate you answering the call, sir. I always. May God bless you. May God increase your influence. May He amplify your voice, and may your reach transcend anything that you've imagined for yourself. The work you're doing is very important, sir. It's very important. So thank you very much for it.
No, man, it's my pleasure. I believe that, my relationship with you is testament to what we've discussed today.
Absolutely.
Because relationships of value where we don't exploit the favor, but we let that favor become what it is today, is that we prioritize each other, right? When opportunity comes and it has to do with Poloko, Poloko's name is prioritized, whether that's the media opportunity, whether that's a speaking opportunity, some come through, some fall through.
Absolutely.
But the reality of it is that, you prioritize me, I prioritize you. We have each other in each other's minds because it's a kingdom relationship.
It is.
That continues to grow in faith. It may have been brought together by favor as God has created those opportunities, but it is growing into what it needs to be. And I think it's also important that as much as I am a blessing to you, you are a great blessing to me. It's a mutual exchange. There's nobody, by the way, there's nobody doing anybody a favor, but we adjust each other's favor in each other's lives. That's it. Thank you, sir.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. No, thank you very much, sir. Thank you very much. And please do send my regards to your wife, to your family. I hope everyone is well and everyone is in good health and thriving.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much.
Thank you. No, God bless you, sir. God bless you.